Hi, my name is Desta Haile, and I'm a singer and a teacher, and I have always loved music. I remember being a little girl in the school choir, and I would always get told off because I would start singing before the intro was even done. I just couldn't wait. I kept singing all the way through school, and I was really lucky I got into music professionally as a teenager. Singing has given me my best friends. It has taken me on adventures to places I could never have dreamed of, and it's even given me the most beautiful little goddaughter. Languages, though, were never my thing at school. I had a terrifying French teacher called Madame Camus, and she hated me. She gave endless grammar homework, and she would yell at me, saying things like, Desta, if your head wasn't attached to your neck, you'd forget it at home. And this is true, but it's not a nice thing to say, and I was only small. I moved around a lot growing up. But despite all of these countries and having a super multilingual family, I could only communicate in English. Even after 12 years of French at school, I could barely hold a conversation. I figured if I couldn't speak French after that many lessons, I would never be able to learn a language. Luckily, music totally changed this for me. And within months of figuring out that it was the perfect way to learn a language, I was conversational in French, Portuguese, Spanish, Turkish. So today, I would really like to talk to you about why singing is great for us, why languages are great for us, and why we should all make music a main part of our language learning. This is probably preaching to the choir, being singing Brussels and all, but let's just touch on 3 ways that singing is wonderful for us. Starting with the breath, the cornerstone of health and life, and singing. It was a lovely singer and teacher, Isabel Roland, who taught me this over a summer of opera lessons. She gave me these awesome techniques and exercises and visualizations to help me understand breath control, placement, and power. And one late summer evening, watching her perform in La Traviata, it clicked for me how vital this is. Opera singers are Olympians. Secondly, singing is just great for our health in general. It lowers stress levels, and it boosts our body's natural immune response. It even instills feelings of connection and belonging. Singing helps us process our emotions and builds our self-esteem as well. You have to have a good posture when you're singing. You can't sing anything, belt out your favorite tunes if you're all slumped over your laptop. Singing is like coffee. It makes us more alert and creative. You also have to stay well hydrated when you're singing, so it's a good reminder to drink your 2 liters a day of water, of course, not coffee. Thirdly, singing makes us better listeners. You can't sing well alone or with people unless you've developed that skill. And if we were all better listeners, life would be a lot easier. So please, start singing more, and you will soon see the benefits physically, emotionally, and mentally. But languages are also really good for us. Really good for us. No one ever had to tell me that singing was good for me. I could feel that instantly. But languages, for the first 16 years of my life, I associated with suffering, failing exams, forgetting my head at home, Madame Camus. No one told me about how it was good for expanding your mind or sharpening your memory or keeping your brain fresh in later life, fending off Alzheimer's. It was only later I found out about all the job opportunities or, how nice it was to travel and be able to communicate in the local language. My favorite thing, though, about language learning is connecting to other people and cultures. At the beginning of lockdown, I downloaded an app called italki, and I found teachers all over the world. I took Turkish, Tigrinya, American Sign Language, Thai, Arabic. I went a little overboard. I've never taken so many language lessons in my life. But the linguistic and cultural doors that my teachers would open for me were such a welcome distraction from all the general dread of everything happening outside. I might start the day watching the news, feeling kind of anxious and sad, and then in the afternoon, I'd be swimming in all these combinations that the Thai language has for the word jai, or heart. If something enters your heart, khao jai, you understand it. If your heart can see something, you're able to empathize. You might have a cool heart, jai yen, being a calm person, or you might have a hot heart, jai ron, meaning that you have a bad temper. I love learning these little quirks of language learning. It makes me feel sabai jai, happy-hearted. And any language you're learning, the word heart is pretty much in every song. Every language has an alphabet, but Arabic has sun and moon letters. I love that. I don't love memorizing them, but I love that they're called sun and moon letters. It's beautiful. It's interesting. In Arabic, the sun is feminine and the moon is masculine. Although for an English speaker, memorizing genders in any language is hell. I'll never forget. I was in a XL post office and I was trying to buy a stamp, but the guy refused because I'd asked for une timbre, and une timbre, madame, ça n'existe pas. Has an E at the end of it. I was going to pay for it. A friend of mine has a genius strategy. She now wakes up in the morning and she asks herself, is today a le day or a la day? And she rolls with it. No stress. Genius. Music has helped me memorize a lot of things, but nobody writes songs about stamps. Almost nobody writes songs about stamps. So yes, language learning can be embarrassing sometimes, but it's pretty entertaining, especially when you're learning idioms. So in English, for example, to say never, we might talk about when pigs fly, but in French, we talk about chickens with teeth. To complain about a hot day, Tigrinya speakers blame short people for installing the sun. If something doesn't work out in Brazil, people can say, deu zebra, which means it gave or resulted in zebra. What did zebras ever do to deserve this disrespect? I don't know, but languages are funny, and laughter is very valuable, especially these days. Languages can stretch your sense of humor, your imagination, and your worldview. And music is great for this too, because music tends to use the more colorful colloquialisms, the popular expressions we might not learn from some dry textbook. There are so many ways that music can help you learn a language, and now that I run something called Languages Through Music, it's hard for me to believe how absent music was from my own language education at school. If, like me, you ever associated language learning with stress, forgetting your head at home, Madame Camus, just remember, one good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. Music is powerful. And words are powerful. The Japanese have a concept called kotodama, which refers to the inherent magic, spirit, soul of words. So if you put the two together, music and words, you'll be unstoppable. As soon as I found music in French that I loved, Science Super Crew, I was paying attention. I sat my Francophone friends down. I made them go through the lyrics with me line by line. Each song is a story, and human beings learn best through storytelling. It's a fact. And music is great because it hits all learning styles, whether you're more visual or audio or kinesthetic. Music's got you. There's so many ways you can use it. Singing, reading the lyrics, writing the lyrics, maybe do a gap fill or an ordering exercise, or build playlists around specific vocabulary and keywords that you're trying to learn. You can adapt to your level. If you're a beginner, try some slow jazz, some lullaby or something. But if you're advanced, challenge yourself. Try something faster, rock, rap. So many ways. You can also discover the artists. Where are they from? What's their inspiration? What style of music do they do? You can follow them on socials or watch interviews, listen to podcasts, see if you can find any live shows. Repetition, super important when you're learning a language. And music hands you that with rhyme and refrain. And some Nigerian and Ethiopian songs go on for 20 minutes anyways. There are apps designed around spaced repetition, like Memrise, like Anki, which are great. Or you can put the song on repeat and pause to refresh when you don't know a word. Music is emotional, and emotions activate our memory. A friend of mine, Joy Adegoke, she says, there are feelings that you can only feel in certain languages. Poetic and true, I feel. Music can teach you about the country it's from. So, for example, how did Angolan samba influence Brazilian samba? How did Cuban rumba influence its Congolese cousin? What was Caetano Veloso doing in Portobello Road? When and why were some artists censored or exiled from their country? If you're really listening, music can teach you so much more than just a language. We have so much information at our fingertips. With the internet, we have, Spotify, YouTube, Bandcamp, all these things. We have apps, even, designed particularly to teach you languages through music, like Earworms, Univoice, Lyrica, lyrics training. We're surrounded by languages and music, especially in Brussels. Everybody knows Brussels is super serious about its languages. I once saw a fight break out in Gare Centrale over a waffle. This guy was trying to buy it, this lady was selling it, he was speaking Flemish, she was speaking French. They didn't want to compromise on the language. It escalated, and for a long time, I associated waffles with violence. Luckily, I eventually got over this, but I kind of love, fighting aside, how crazy Brussels is about languages. My first job, I was a teacher at this wonderful language school for kids called Tutti Frutti, run by world-class educator Patricia Pitisci. And at Tutti Frutti, you see 5-year-olds speaking in 4 languages. It's incredible. And creative education is central to the school's pedagogy, music included. Recently, I watched a very moving talk organized by Kai Theater, which took its name from the title of a fantastic essay written by Abisha brother and Brussels local Suleiman Adonia called The Wounds of Multilingualism. And in the talk, I learned that Brussels is the second most diverse city in the whole world after Dubai, because 6 out of 10 residents weren't born here. Brussels has a minister for multilingualism, a whole council, 184 nationalities, 104 languages, and a really multicultural music scene, from jazz to hip-hop, soul, electro, Afro, house. If we're not going to get multilingual through music here, then where? I'm very grateful to BOZAR for supporting my project for the Afropolitan Forum. We've created materials for Kinyarwanda, Lingala, and Swahili through music with some amazing educators and artists. It meant a lot to me because I figure a lot of people love African music, so let's spread that love to African languages as well. It is, after all, the UN International Decade for People of African Descent, at least until 2024. Let me leave you with just 3 thoughts. There are 6,000 to 7,000 languages in the world, but every 2 weeks we lose one with its last speaker. We need to be aware of this, to use a favorite word of Jean-Claude Van Damme, because maybe there's a way we can use music to preserve these endangered languages. Not all languages have books and apps and programs, but all languages have music. So that's 1. 2, learn some sign language. You may think it's unrelated, but I just started in January, and I've had my mind blown by percussionist Evelyn Glennie, who happens to be deaf, and rock star interpreter Warren Wawa Snipe, who really brings music to life through sign. And it showed me a whole other universe, a different way of experiencing music and language that as a hearing person had never crossed my mind. Thirdly, lastly, it's been a tough year for everybody, and I'd really like to celebrate teachers and musicians. I can't imagine a future without them. In conclusion, I really hope that this talk has offered you a new motivational nugget or two, and that you start singing more, especially with Singing Brussels, and that you start coasting into new languages on all manner of multilingual sound waves. I borrowed the title of this talk, Sing Yourself Up, from one of my favorite writers, Gary Younge. Early last year, he wrote an article encouraging readers to take heart. Despite the disheartening state of the world, COVID aside, he wrote, "In these bleak times, imagine a world where you can thrive. Singing and languages and learning and teaching languages through music always make me feel like I'm thriving. And I'm sure it can do the same for you. So please, sing yourself up." Thank you.